This is the John Tague Show, an actor's odyssey and more. I am your host, John Tague. Give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is at John J. Tague. That's at JOHNJTAGUE. Drop me a message, give me a follow. I'd love to hear from you. This episode is brought to you by the Rolling Soldier digital web series, a psychological web series about a CIA agent on the run with what is left of his team and family. Available on YouTube and Facebook. Check it out. And Rising Lotus Yoga, with yoga studios available in Sherman Oaks and Newhall, California. Let joy rise. www.risinglotusyoga.com and www.risinglotusyogascv.com. Hey everybody, what's up? It's John Tague. You're on the John Tague Show. And today I've got my old friend Rigo Sanchez is here. You've seen Rigo on Station 19, Queen of the South, Goliath, and also most of you might know him from the Rolling Soldier, our web series. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Been a long time, man. Good to see you, bro.
I know. I was thinking about it the other day. I was trying to figure out how long ago it was, and I think the last time I saw you, we were at I think it was a commercial audition, and we ran into each other, and then I think we went out and had a beer afterwards. But I haven't seen you in probably, what, 2 years?
Yeah, something like that, I guess, since you moved.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
But you've been busy. You've been a busy guy, man. I'm super proud of you. I've seen you, you've been doing all kinds of shit, and you're crushing it right now. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah, thanks a lot, brother. Well, as you just said, I just had a nice little, I forget how many episodes I did on Station 19. It was fun. A nice little guest star on that. Currently, I'm a series regular on Animal Kingdom.
That's amazing. I cannot believe that. That's so fucking great, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks a lot, brother. Yeah, but obviously nobody's been working since this whole thing started with Corona. But we were filming episode 4 or 5, something like that, when it hit.
Yeah.
And we just got word yesterday that they have all the guidelines now and what we're supposed to follow. The protocol that's supposed to be followed so we could all get back to work. And hopefully, that's going to be sooner than later, but nobody actually knows the date.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're all just trying to get back to work.
Well, it's good that they've been in touch with you and keeping, contact and keeping you up to date on what's going on. Yeah, it's been crazy. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I had 4 films that I was supposed to do starting in April. And they've all been shut down and pushed back, it's one of these things now. Everyone's just kind of looking at each other, going, "What's going on? What are we going to do?"
What's going on?
It's crazy.
What's funny, man. Started getting back to the Rolling Soldier. I remember hanging out in your backyard, and you were pouring. What did you pour me? What's it called? A dark and something.
Dark and stormy. Yeah.
There you go. A dark and stormy, man. I remember you pouring me a dark and stormy, and you said, I don't know what we were talking about, but you were like, "Man, I'm thinking about doing like a short or like a web series about like this agent." And I'm like, "Yeah, do tell." And then next thing you know, man, a couple months later or whatever it was, we're sitting in your house or something, and we're filming. Yeah. We're filming it, and we're going on location and filming. I just got to say, man, even though that was about 50 years ago when we did that, that
feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. we both grown a beard since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got to say, man, I was super proud of you, and super excited that we got that done, and all the all the accolades that you're receiving on it, man. And congrats on the best actor, and I'm glad that you learned something from me while we were working.
Oh man.
Yeah, so just super proud and just happy, man. And I'm waiting for the next one, brother.
Well, looking back at it all, and I remember when we were sitting there talking about it, if I didn't have you involved in it, I don't think it would have been as good as it was. And I'm not.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm not bullshitting you at all. I think you're such a great actor and a good friend, And that, I think one of the main reasons why it all kind of came together was because I was surrounded myself with a lot of people that I really trusted and loved, and that I knew had my back, and I knew we're going to knock it out of the park. And, you know, we just, I don't know if you saw, but a couple weeks back, a couple guys that run this channel on Twitch asked me if we would do a live screening of it on their Twitch. We streamed it on their Twitch channel, and then we had a Q&A afterwards. And it was funny because I watched it for the first time in its entirety, like back to back to back, in years. And, you know, for a bunch of people that were just kind of like, you know, running and gunning and flying, you know, at the seat of their pants, and you know, when we were doing it with zero budget, we made something pretty fucking good. You know, I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back at all, but I mean, I couldn't really do it without you guys, but I'm super proud of it, and I'm super proud of the work that everybody did on it. And I think that I think that it was a nice kind of jumping off point for a lot of us into different areas. I know, speaking for myself, you know, it ended up getting me more work. And I think it kind of just, you know, it was a nice way for everyone to kind of, you know, be seen in a way that I think they weren't being seen before. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, it's nice, and you know, and it's still out there on the festival circuit, and we just got nominated for best thriller for the Santa Monica Web Fest, and that happens this weekend. So yeah, man, cheers to that, brother. I mean, we did it.
Yeah.
We busted our ass, and you know, if I'm, you know, I've been thinking about, you know, do we kick it up again and maybe do a season 2, or should we start maybe thinking about doing something else completely different? You know, maybe bigger scale, and like, you know, and try to pitch something to a network or something. That's
I think the most difficult part of taking something off the ground is getting a team of people that actually believe in you. You know, I think that's the hardest part. You know, because a lot of people like to blow smoke and say, "Oh yeah, man, you got something amazing," and then you call on them, and it was like, I got this going on. I got this going on. I got that going on. And, you know, and I'm just like you. If I ever agree to something, if I say I'm going to help you, then I'm going to make sure that I do that. And that's, you know, that's sort of, like I said, that's some of the hardest things. That's one of the hardest things to do, especially in the city.
You all right? Hold on a second. I lost your audio, Rigo.
Sorry about that, man.
That's all right, man. It looks like I got knocked off from a public announcement.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me too.
Yeah, for those of you listening, we're recording this, you know, during all these during the
curfew
and the protests and all that, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that, you know, a little bit later on. But yeah, go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, I was saying that, you know, one of the hardest things is actually counting on these people that say that, you know, that they'll be there for you, because obviously, you know, none of us got paid for that. I remember when we kickstarted that thing. I mean, you and I were the only people that were posting that on our Facebook.
That's right.
Our Instagram, you know.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, and thank you for doing that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I had family members, uncles and aunts and cousins and brothers that you know, that put in $50 or put in $25 or whatever it was, and I. You know, I sent each of them a thank you letter, or you know, like a gift certificate to Starbucks or something like that. Because, you know, it's those same people, you know, those people that had nothing to do with it, but had everything to do with it, you know, who put in $5, $10, $15. I put in some of my own money into it too. And, you know, that I think, you know, a lot of people always ask me, hey, you know, what's your favorite role that you've ever played? And I say, which one has paid me the most? And, you know,
yeah.
But the truth is, I think it was actually, you know, projects like the Rolling Soldier and other projects that I've been involved in where I helped kickstart something, where I helped fund something and ask people for money. Those, you know, those turned out to be some of my favorite projects because, like I said, I had, you know, I didn't get one dime from it, but I invested everything in it.
Yeah, man. And, you know, thanks for that. And to be totally honest, you know, it wouldn't have been as good without you. And like you just you saying that to me makes, you know, means the world. And, you know, and the other thing is, I think one of the reasons why I think you were kind of, you know, emotionally invested in it also was because you had a lot of input into what your character was and how you thought things. Like you brought up tons of really great suggestions as we were going along, and we incorporated a lot of the things that you wanted. And we just had a fucking blast. Me and you had such a good time. We had such a good time, man. You know,
we might as well have been hanging out at the bar, or hanging out in the backyard having a beer, man, because that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And you know, it's just magic how it all kind of came together, and that's what made I think makes it so special. And you know, every time we get a nomination, you know, I'm always just like, God, you know, I'm so grateful that you guys were such a part of it, and you know, I mean, it's like, you know, and it's funny because we haven't seen each other in a couple of years, and it's like, hey, man, you know, I feel like we're right back in it. You know, like no time's passed at all. But
yeah. The only difference is that, you know, our beards keep getting grayer and our kids keep getting bigger, man.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about it. You know, when I called you the other day and asked if you wanted to be on the show, I was like, man, we've known each other for such a long time, and and the reason why we know each other is because our wives did yoga together, and then they were pregnant right around the same time, and our kids kind of, you know, were growing up together, and that was just a magic time, and it all worked out. We all got to work together and do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know a little bit more about, let's let everybody know a little bit more about your background and like where you're, you know, how you came up and where you're from, and why don't we start there, man? Why don't we start at how did it all start for you?
I'm an Angelino, brother. Been here about 40 plus years. You know, I've seen, you know, specifically in the San Fernando Valley, I've seen the San Fernando Valley grow, you know, not only in population, but in just different things, man. You know, diversity, businesses, other things other places where, you know, where you used to see just an empty lot. And now there's, you know, apartments everywhere and businesses everywhere, which is fantastic. But it really is strange, you know, because a lot of people come to this city of Los Angeles, and they automatically assume that you know, that LA's always been dirty, that LA's always been a bunch of homeless people everywhere. And no, LA actually used to be really clean, other than Hollywood. You know, Hollywood was always pretty, you know, grimy and dirty. But you know, the San Fernando Valley. You know, it was always pretty clean and welcoming. You know, I could walk out, I could be outside till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And be completely fine, man. You know, that's how I grew up here. You know, it was safe, it was clean, and now it's really sad how you know, my city of Los Angeles and San Fernando Valley is just getting, you know, it's just dirty now, and nobody takes care of it. And it seems like as more and more people have come to this city from out of state, the more and more dirty this place has gotten, and more filthy it has gotten, because you know, people really don't take care of it. But you know, that's
well, there's a lot of transient.
But you know, I grew up here in LA, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, people that come and try to make it in the industry and then leave. And you know, then nobody sticks around, and I think that might have a lot to do with what you're talking about too.
And you know, and a lot of people associate their success in this business with their happiness or their lack thereof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people come out here and they can't get an agent, they can't audition, and then they get depressed and they start talking shit about LA and that how much they hate it and the people here are rude and blah, 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 blah. And the truth is, happiness is what you bring to the table. It's not what's brought to you. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You're supposed to bring happiness to the table, man, not the opposite way.
Right.
But but at the same time, man, I'm super impressed by people who come here from other states, from other countries, and go balls out and accomplish a goal, man. And people like you who came from New York, and it's like, fuck, man, it took you a long time, brother. I've known you for close to 15 years now, man.
Yeah, almost as long as I've been here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I remember, you were one of those people, man. You were one of those people that were like very unhappy and you couldn't, and I remember you couldn't get an agent, you couldn't do this. And then all of a sudden you changed your mind and I remember you're like, I'm thinking about doing this thing and creating this project. And you did, and you didn't give a fuck about anybody any agent or any audition. And you created this thing. And from this thing, now you are where you are. And I mean that, for people like you who come here, like I said, dude, just, man, I mean, amazing work, brother. And everybody else who's out here, man, who listens to your podcast and who watches these videos, is keep going, man, create stuff, because nothing is handed to you. And believe me, nothing was handed to me either. Just because I'm from here doesn't mean they said, oh, you're from here, here you go, you have a career.
Yeah. It's not easy.
The way it works. No.
So when you were in high school, were you acting at all in high school? Or I
was acting like an idiot in high school. That's
yeah,
what were you acting I was doing?
What were you doing?
I was a pretty elite athlete in high school. I played football and basketball. I was invited to a couple of all-star games as a football player. And like I said, I was an elite athlete competing against other people. I think a couple of dudes that I competed with in high school ended up going to the NFL. One of them was Enos Davis, Darrell Price, a couple guys. Nobody that actually made a huge name for themselves. But
what position were you playing in football?
I was a quarterback in high school. I led my team in rushing and passing. It was crazy.
Amazing.
I was a pretty freak of an athlete. And I thought that's what I was going to do. I thought that's what I was going to do. I mean, even when I started with acting, I was still training as an athlete, playing basketball and doing stuff like that. And then I met this person. He was actually a barber. He was a retired actor. And I sat down to get a haircut, and he said, "I've never seen you in here before." And we were talking. And he says, I see a lot of young Latinos, and you're nothing like them. And next thing you know, one thing led to another, and now I'm sitting here with you, brother. Talking about my acting career, man.
Yeah, let's go in a little deeper on that. So did this barber recommend that you become an actor, or did he put the spark in your ear? Or
at first he was sort of talking to me about his career. And his name is John Reed, Read. He starred in a lot of productions on stage all over the world. He started in England, went to Canada, did some stuff in Canada, did some stuff in Australia, and then he finally decided to come here when he was about 39 years old. And he did a lot of film. A lot of co-star stuff and a lot of guest stars on different shows and whatnot. Anyhow, by the time I met him, he was about 70 some odd years old, and I was about 19 when I first sat down on his chair, and he sort of broached me on the idea of becoming an actor or at least taking headshots. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like I said, I was like, man, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to be a basketball star or whatever the hell it was. I was doing athletically at the time. And a couple years went by, and then I met a girl. That's how the story always starts.
Yeah.
And she was a photographer. We were both going to Valley College at the time. Mm-hmm. And she was a photographer, and she said she needed a model. And I never really thought about modeling or anything like that, you know. And she took a couple pictures and whatnot, and then I was like, hey, all right, I guess the grill isn't that ugly, I guess. And you know, and next time I went and got a haircut from this guy, I said, hey, listen, I took some pictures with this girl, and he said, oh yeah, you know, let me see them. So then I brought them to him a couple days later, and he looked at them and he said, this is shit. he said, let me, you know, he says, let me pay for a real photographer to take your headshots.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, hold on, man. I'm
yeah,
like,
what's the angle?
Yeah, what's the catch, brother? Because I'm not into that funny stuff, man.
Yeah.
And he said, look, man, you know, when you're ready to be mature about it, here's my phone number. Give me a call, and I'll help you out. And you know, and just like everyone else, you know, I was skeptic. You know, I'm like, what the hell? What's his angle? And finally, I did give him a call, and he was true to his word, man. You know, he said, well, here's a guy that I know. At the time, it was like $90. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was, you know, exactly. And you know, the guy took like 5 different shots for $90.
Wow. 5 different looks.
Yeah, 5 different looks.
Oh, that's
different looks.
That's a pretty sweet
that was
deal.
a steal, exactly. Yeah. But you know, this was like 2002 or something like that. You know, somewhere. Yeah. Yeah.
So how old were you? What were you, like 22 or something like that?
Dude, yeah, I was about to turn 23 when I took those shots, and then he said, all right, well, you know, you got headshots. He goes, and I said, all right, but what's next? And he goes, oh, so you're interested? And I said, well, yeah, you know, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he said, well, he goes, you said, if you're really interested, here's my address. You come to my house on Monday. And so I showed up to his house, and you know, he's got a bunch of different plays out, you know, a bunch of different plays, you know. I remember specifically a play called The Cave Dwellers, by Saroyan. I think was his last name is Saroyan. Anyhow, and you know, he tells me to read it, and I read it, and he said, that was shit. He goes, let's try it again. And that's how it started, man. You know, we just kept hammering it over and over and over and over again. And
so he was
I showed up to his house.
He was private coaching you.
Yeah, he was basically giving me a crash course in acting. And, you know, this, like I said, this man had done about 400 plays underneath his belt. You know, he'd done stage all over the world, and had done about 30 or 40 productions on television and film. And the more as more and more time passed, that was about 2 years and at the time I was working at the school district. I was working at Los Angeles Unified School District as a special ed assistant with with handicapped kids. At the time, that's what they were called, handicapped kids. Sure. Now they're called special needs. Anyhow, so I was working with special needs kids at the time, and I would show up to his house at about 3:00, and then from 3:00 to about 7, we would study plays, and he introduced me to guys like Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable, and you know, Katharine Hepburn and Jimmy Stewart, and black and white film, and so that was sort of the crash course in acting that I got. I never thought about becoming an actor, never thought about any of that, but it was odd how I had a connection to literature. I've always had a connection to literature, even at a young age. I just always remember how much I enjoyed reading poems and out loud in front of the class, and how my teachers would always say, wow, you read that really well. That was really nice, Rigo. You should think about, going into something. And I'm like, into what? Poetry hour at the, on the corner. So that's sort of how it started, man. And after about 2 years with John, he said, well, it's time to go out there. It's time to put you out in public and see what happens. So
was he charging you at all, or was he just doing it out of the kindness of his heart?
Not one dime, brother.
Damn.
Not one dime.
Wow.
I'll tell you a little more about the story. So, he enrolled me in a talent show. It was all of Los Angeles and Orange County. I did this talent show at the time, and there were going to be supposedly there were going to be a bunch of agents there, they're trying to find talent, and ended up getting most talented. In the show, I got first place in it, and that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that in public. I read a monologue. In fact, I read a monologue from the Cave Dwellers. William Saroyan, that's what it is, Cave Dwellers. Mm-hmm. I read a monologue from there, and it was the most powerful thing that I've ever felt in my life. And I had felt like, athletically, I was a beast. Like I said, I was pretty amazing. I felt, and other people too in the city felt that I was pretty amazing athletically. But what I felt on that stage, I'm sure as you have felt, doesn't compare, man. It just doesn't compare.
It's a completely different experience.
It really is, yeah.
Because acting's a strange thing, because it's all about what's going on internally inside you and putting it out there, and the bravery that you have to put it out there. And then when people accept it in a way that, they're entertained by it or enjoyed it, there's a rush that comes with it that is, it's hard to explain, I think.
Yeah. My John used to say it the best way. He used to say, there is no such thing as acting. You either are or you're not.
Yeah. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. You're either present and you're listening, or you're not. And I think that's sort of the key to acting is listening. If you're not listening, if you're one of those people that knows everyone's lines and is reciting everyone's lines while those lines are being said to you, you're not acting, brother.
No,
you're not acting. Yeah, no. You're just as they say, acting by the numbers.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you're not reacting. You're not.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're not listening at all.
Yeah. That's
a hard thing to break through as an actor, especially at a young age. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, so that's sort of how it started. And that's how I got my first agent. I got an agent through that talent show, and, I've never looked back, man. But
what was your? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But getting back to John, at the end of the day, the guy invested about $12,000 in me. In about I think it was about 10 or 15. Yeah, it was about 10 years. In a matter of 10 years, he invested about $12,000 in me with headshots and different classes and stuff like that. And then there was a moment there where we had a fallout, and he took me to small claims court.
Oh wow!
He took me to court, and he made me pay him back half of that money, and I did. And I told him, I gladly told him, I said, "Hey man, I'll pay you all this back." He said, No, I don't want all of it. Just give me half.
Yeah.
And that's the type of man that he was, and come to find out, a couple of years after him and I became really good friends, he attempted to help other people. It was about 5 that he attempted to help. One of them is his name was Michael O'Connor, a young man, 19 years old, who ended up dying of leukemia at the time. He helped that boy get a record deal with Tower Records, and that boy, sang in front of a crowd at the Rose Bowl and the Hollywood Bowl. This was like in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And just this past September, my friend John Reed, my mentor, sorry, there's some construction going on.
It's all good.
He passed away in September, man. And so that was the end of that chapter with him, and him being such an influence in my life and who I am as a person and a man, brother.
That's an amazing story. It's amazing how angels like that show up in your life and find a way to guide you. I have somebody similar to that. It was my first theater coach in college who kind of figured out that I'm good at this, and it was a relationship I had that has meant a lot, and it's important to have mentors and people in your corner. And did you patch it up with him?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything was square with him at the end, and you guys were cool. There was no bad blood or anything like that.
None, brother. Yeah, none. He
That's great.
just, yeah, yeah. He
Yeah, life's
just,
too short,
yeah, it is too short. You know, the beautiful thing about it is that he started out with helping me, and then towards he died when he was almost 92 years old last year in September.
Wow.
He was going to turn 92 in October. The last 3-4 years of his life, I became kind of like a caretaker for him. You know, I was there. You know, I would take him to the store to do his shopping and. You know, for the shopping for the week, because he got to a point where he just couldn't drive himself anymore, or he was getting into car accidents. So I told him, hey, listen, John, I prefer that you get off the road, because the last thing we need is another person. You know, at the time, you know, I think somebody had just hit a bunch of people at the farmers market or something like that. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyhow, so right around that time, John got into a little small bumper-to-bumper accident, and that's when I said, "Hey, John, listen, let's cut out the driving. You know, I'll come and and take you, drive you to the store and do your shopping and all that jazz." And I'll tell you, man, those are some of the best years of my life. Was sitting with him and listening to him, and I think that's sort of one of the hardest things to do as a young man. Is listening to older people. You know, we take them for granted, man. We think, they're fucking old. You know, what the fuck do old people know? And the crazy thing is, you know, the thing that old people know is how to live.
Yeah.
You know, because they've lived, 50 years more than I have, or 40 years more than I have, or 30, or in your case, you've lived about 40 years longer than I have. You know,
dude, I just turned 50 on Saturday. Can you believe that shit? 50 years old.
Happy belated, man.
Thanks. So you should start listening to me more, because I am old.
Shit. So yeah, that's sort of that's one of the things that helped me. You know, is listening to him and being able to calm that voice in my head to not want to be like, I'm a man. I'm a man. I can do it myself. Nah, man. Sometimes, sometimes receiving help is the best thing, you know, because you allow yourself space to grow, and inside your head and inside your heart, inside in your spirit. So anyhow, that's how I started with this acting thing, man. And I was 2002, and we're in 2020 now, man. So I've been in it for 18 years now.
So what was your first paid gig?
First paid gig I ever did was a show called The Shield. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah,
Barbara Fiorentino cast that. Yeah.
Oh, you know how many times I auditioned for that fucking show, man?
Me too.
I think I auditioned for that show probably maybe 20 times before I got my first role on it.
That's good though. Yeah, they kept calling you back.
Yeah, I got tapped hardly. Mind you,
you got tapped hardly for that job.
Yeah. I got tapped hardly for that.
So for those of you who don't know what tapped hardly means, that means being booked on a job without being in the union, which is a very, very tough thing to do.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. Have to do it through like background work and shit like that. Yeah.
That happened to me with 24, the first season of 24. I was tapped hardly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So started out doing The Shield, and the wonderful thing about that too is that I was working at a company delivering air conditioning units to movie sets. Yeah. It was a company that we deliver portable air conditioning, or they delivered. I say we because I still feel like I work there. They delivered air conditioning, portable air conditioning units to movie sets. And this is the kicker: is that I got tapped hardly. I work on The Shield, and it was about a couple days. It was like a 2-3 day guest star, and it was a guest star. That's that was the thing. It wasn't even a co-star. Man. It was it was a guest star, which was amazing. So anyhow, I show up, I do my work, and I kid you not, the very next day, I go back to work, and I have to go pick up an air conditioning unit from The Shield, and I'm so fucking embarrassed, because I want these people to know me as an actor, not as and not as some grunt worker or something, and I show up to the set and I got my head down, I got I got my hat on with the visor, sort of coming down like this, and out of nowhere, Michael Chiklis, the lead of the show, Rigo, hey Rigo, what's up, man? He goes, oh, you're doing, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, I'm so fucking embarrassed, and he's looking at me, and he goes, hey man, he sort of pats me on the chest. He goes, I was doing construction before I got my first role. And after I worked on that role, I went right back to work the next day. So I know exactly what you're going through. He goes, just keep going. Just keep going. And that's, that's sort of been like my career, man. I remember I was working with Kevin Costner on a film that I did called McFarlane USA. For any of you who listen to this podcast, or watch it and you have kids, it's a Disney movie, so it's all good. It's a film based on a true story here in California. Anyhow, I'm working on the film, and I remember showing up to set one day, the day after I auditioned for the lead of this pilot. I auditioned. I didn't get the pilot, but I remember showing up to set, and I'm kind of like dragging my ass. And I'm like, shit. And Kevin Costner comes up to me. He goes, Rigo, what's up? I'm like, man, I just auditioned for a pilot, and I don't think I got it, man. I don't know, man. And all of a sudden, Kevin Costner fucking punches me in the chest, kind of like this. Hey, man. He goes, you know what type of shit I had to go through to audition for Schindler's List?
Yeah.
He goes, I put a fucking wig on my head. I put a wig on my fucking head. And he goes, don't ever look back, man. He goes, grab what you can grab, and what isn't yours, let go of that shit. Yeah. Don't look back. And, I've always had, people like that, like Michael Chiklis and Kevin Costner and Billy Bob Thornton, guys that sort of, pulled me aside and were like, you're someone special, man. I can see it in you. I'm a pretty quiet guy when I go to set. I mean, you and I, we're pretty when we're around each other, we drink a beer and we get loud and we get funny and we love to have a good time. But when I'm on set, man, I'm pretty zoned in.
Gotta be.
And pretty focused.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Exactly. So I've always been lucky to have these guys sort of come up to me and say, whatever you're going through, man, just keep going. Cause obviously it's gotten you to where you are right now, and just keep going, man. And
amazing. Yeah.
It's been a cool ride so far, man. It's been
being able to work with guys like that is pretty special. And, Costner to me is one of the greats.
He really is. Yeah.
I think and Chiklis is an amazing actor. And of course, Billy Bob Thornton, they don't get much better than him. And to have people like that, saying that to you, it's pretty profound.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So let's back up just a little bit. So after you had your guest star on The Shield, were you training at all? Did you jump into any kind of acting, like group acting classes or anything like that? What was going on?
You name it, man. You name the.
You were doing workshops and all that shit.
You named the theaters. Yeah, I was doing casting calls, workshops. Back in the days, I think it was called like Actors Key or whatever the hell it was back in those days.
Did those. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those cattle call casting director cattle calls. Did all of that, drove all around the city, man. I mean, there were a couple of years there where I was averaging about 110 auditions, about 4,000 miles traveled for auditioning. I did all that. I mean, I went to the Lee Strasberg Academy or whatever the hell, I was at the Lee Strasberg place for a couple of years. Did that for a year.
So that's method training, right?
Yeah, that was all method training, man.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I did the Stanislavski thing for a while. I did the
Meisner.
a Meisner thing for a while. Yeah, because I haven't been around it for a long time. I sort of forget all the techniques.
Right.
And I sort of what I did is I kind of pieced all of those things together, plus what I learned from John. And I got to tell you, man, the best acting coach, the best acting class that I ever had was on set.
Yep.
Actually being on set, whether it was an indie film, a student film, being in front of the camera, even if it was just a cold reading class or just a couple of buddies hanging out, doing, hey, can you read this part with me kind of thing,
Yeah.
Those have always been the best acting lessons that I've ever had, is
I think
putting a camera in front of me and having and just doing it with you, doing it with another friend. Those have been the best acting classes that I've ever had. Not to take anything away from any institute or classes that I've been to, but the best classes I've ever had have been just me putting a camera in front of me and going at it with another buddy or whoever,
Right. It's on the job training, and it's just like in sports, it's like the best experience you get is when you're in the game.
Well, it's just like, it's just like an apprenticeship,
Yeah.
like back in the days, you wanted to be, a plumber, you wanted to be whatever it was, a guy took you underneath his wing and said, this is how it's done.
Yes.
But he put you out, you were out in the field learning how to do it, and that's exactly what, like I said, what I learned is having a camera in front of me and watching myself after I've done it, really paying attention to what I'm doing with my hands, what I'm doing with my face. Yeah. Am I really listening?
Yeah.
Am I waiting for the line? Am I waiting to jump on you with my line?
Right.
These are all really, really simple things to learn from it, because it's right in front of you. It's not like being in a theater class where other people say, hey, listen, I really like this, or I really like that. And it's cool, to get all that feedback.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like actually watching yourself and learning from your own mistakes.
That you're hitting it right on the nose. And, I can speak from experience with when I was creating the Rolling Soldier and then having to go into the editing bay and edit the thing, and, watching myself and seeing what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. That was an incredibly valuable experience for me as an actor, because it's like an athlete watching tape, and
yeah.
For me, it was like
practice your footwork.
Right. I'm like, I've been doing that one stupid thing for so long, and and I thought it worked for so long for me, but now I'm realizing it doesn't work. And you just learn. That's a great way to learn. So I recommend creating your own shit and also, taping yourself doing stuff and seeing, what works for you and what doesn't. So important. You got to know yourself. You have to be, there's a self-awareness that actors have to have about themselves. And I think that it's something that isn't talked about a lot. And I think if you know who you are and what you're good at doing, it just makes it an easier job. And then you're able to relax into the part and really get yourself involved in the scene and be a part of an organic experience rather than like, oh shit, I got to get the line right.
Yeah. Fuck the line, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've worked too many times to know that, the line is only as important as you make it.
Right.
There have been times that, that I've been working and I forget my line, but I'm listening.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to my co-star, and I'm listening to the words that they say. And just by listening, I remember my line, and the directors come up to me and say, "Hey man, whatever it was that you did right there, yeah, give me more of that." And I was like, well, it just so happens that I fucking forgot my line.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But because I was so deep in it, that I was listening, that, you know, boom, the line came up to me. The line came because I was so involved in the moment and listening.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that people call movie magic, you know, cinema magic, you know,
happy accidents, like things like that.
Happy accidents. Exactly. You know, and that's the thing, that happy accidents happen all the time when you're listening, you know? So yeah, you know, I started, like I said, with the Shield, and throughout all those years, man, you know, the first kind of 12 to 13 years of my career, I was doing this air conditioning job, which I was so lucky, man. I was so lucky that this job that I had still allowed me to audition, because a lot of people, you know, have to decide between a job and their career, and their career. And the weird thing is that, you know, I never thought twice about it, man. Yeah, you know, this job is all well and dandy, but I wasn't afraid to lose that job. Yeah, and you know, because I just knew. Yeah,
is that when you, like, after the Shield, was that when you burned the boats and were like, this is it, this is what I'm doing?
No, no. You know, at the time when I did the Shield and I did other shows, I still had no real confidence that this is what I was going to do for a living, you know, because I was still just trying to put food on the table,
hustling,
I was still trying to hustle, man. And when you still have a quote unquote job while you're trying to get a career, it's really hard to say, yeah, this is what's going to take me, you know? But you know, inside, not outwardly, but inside, I always told myself that, you know, people keep saying that I'm good at this. Casting directors keep calling me back. And that was the kicker right there, is I kept getting callbacks. If I were auditioning and I wouldn't get callbacks, I think I would have taken a step back and said to myself, am I kidding myself?
Right.
You know, is this something that, you know, maybe this is something that I'll do just for fun, but not as a career. And that's still well and dandy. You know what I mean? That's still perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to have that you know, that conversation with yourself, you know, which it's sort of weird, because that's kind of what happened. You know, you know, fast forward my career. There was a point there where I was still working, you know, sort of sporadically, you know, and it just didn't feel like a career to me. It felt like a little side thing that I was getting lucky at. Yeah, it felt like a side gig that I was sort of having fun, and you know, this is really fun.
Yeah.
But I wasn't making enough to get health insurance. I wasn't making enough for all that other stuff, you know. And then to add insult to injury is then I started a family, which that was crazy, because now I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's changed. It changes the whole game, man.
Yeah,
everything
changes. The whole game. Yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, I didn't realize that becoming a father was actually the best job that I ever got in my life.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, because it touched a part of me as a man that I had no idea that I wasn't showing to other people, that I wasn't willing to show to other people, you know.
It puts experience. It puts experience in your pocket, also. You know,
right?
And your focus is no longer on yourself.
On yourself, precisely. Yeah, and you know this. You know this very well. You know, you grew up. You know, I'm sure, you know, your dad, you know, you come from an Irish Irish background, you know, where it's like, you know, kind of macho shit, and like, you know, we're men, and we're, you know, we don't show emotions, and we're fucking, you know, and you know, that's very much in the Latin culture as well, as, you know, we're machismos and all that shit. But becoming a father sort of allowed me to say, fuck all that, you know.
It softens your heart, and it makes
really
you,
does, man.
because, you know, acting's about cracking your heart open.
Exactly. And
you know,
and being willing to allow other people to see that.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you said that. That's an important thing that I think, you know, a lot of people might not, you know, recognize, you know, if they're married and have kids, or if they're, you know, if they have children or whatever, how it affects you and makes you, I think, a better actor. Knowing that you're not focusing on yourself so much. You're out of it.
I remember you, John. Sorry to cut you off, man. I remember sitting in your backyard. You lived right there off of Whitsett and Magnolia. I remember that little house that you guys were renting. And I remember you and I were sitting down, and we were having our dark and stormies, and our, you know, your daughter and my son were on their little tricycles. And I remember we were having this conversation, how difficult this thing is to be an actor and be a father at the same time. Cause we're like, how the hell do we do this? And that was right around the same time when you sort of pitched this idea to me about the Rolling Soldier. And something, you know, you decided, man, you know, just like I decided sometime or another, that fuck excuses, fuck why I can't do this, or fuck why all these people don't want to give me an opportunity. I need to grab this thing by the horns and fucking take it. And it, you know, both you and I sort of right around the same time, we decided to do that. And, you know, and we've benefited from making that decision. And, you know, and that's what I'll tell anybody, man, is just grab that shit by the horns. And it's not going to be one day. It's not going to be a month. It might take years. But just grab it by the horns and keep going, man.
I think if you don't at least try, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And it's not just about, like, you know, being an actor or whatever. Like, you know, if you want to be anything, you know, if you don't at least give it a shot, you're going to look back and you're just going to say, you know what, I didn't try hard enough. And that's something I can't live with, and I know it's something you can't live with either.
Hell no. I always tell you know, my son that, you know, when you grow gray and old, you know, don't tell your kids about the regrets you had in life. Tell your kids about the adventures you had in life, the risks that you took in life. You know, that's the stuff that really makes my life worth living. But anyhow, you know, like getting back to the biz. So, you know, the Shield, I did that, and throughout those years, you know, I was still auditioning, still getting a bunch of callbacks, and you know, just climbing that ladder. You know, this co-star led to that co-star led to that co-star, then co-stars started leading to guest stars, and then guest stars started leading to, you know, series regulars, auditions, and you know, it's been quite a roller coaster, man. It's been a lot of ups and mostly downs, but the ups are starting to combat all the downs, man.
The shows that you've been involved in recently have been really critically acclaimed shows, like Goliath and Animal Kingdom. What's it like working on shows like that, where you're not coming in as a co-star, you're coming in as a guest star, and you're in the mix with the cast? And I also want to talk about you know, Station 19 and you know, your work on that. What's the difference? What do you think is different about it, or what do you think you did differently to get to that point?
You know, John, it's strange, man. You know, I think because, you know, now you've been on both sides. Now you're an actor, and you're a producer, and you're a director. So, you know now that, you know, the producers and directors that I've worked with and am currently working with, they're just human beings, man, just like you and I, you know. The moment that you realize that, I'm not talking about going into a room and telling people, hey, fuckers, you know, no, I'm not saying all that.
Right.
I'm just saying, you know, is treat people, you know, just like you treat your brother, just like you treat your cousin, your best friend. Treat them like human beings, man. And, you know, don't walk in there desperate. You know,
I think what I'm asking you though is what was the shift for you?
I think that's what it was.
That's when you realize that these people they don't have dominion over you, that they're just regular people.
Exactly. They're just regular folks, man.
Right.
You know, they're just regular folks that have more money than me, you know?
Right.
You know, and that's, you know, that's pretty much it, you know, is that I never wanted to feel like this person is better than me because they have more money, you know, or this person is better than me because they have a higher billing than I do.
Right. Or more experience.
I've worked with a lot of assholes in my life that were up, you know, on the call list. A lot of assholes. And, you know, and whatever, you know, to each his own, you know, go on your own merry way. But like I said, I think the moment I decided that these people aren't better than me or and needless to say, better actors than me. I think that's sort of when I decided that, listen, I'm a human being just like you are. The only difference is that you're an asshole and I'm not. Right. You know, that's the only difference, is that there are assholes in this industry, and let them continue to be assholes, you know, but just go be an asshole somewhere else. Don't come around me with that shit, because I'll tell you to go fuck off. No matter how big you are, no matter how high you are on the totem pole.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is true. He will tell you to fuck off. I know that from personal experience.
Yeah, you know, but most of the time, you know, it as you know, John, it takes a lot for me to tell you to fuck off. Man. It takes a lot. But honestly, John, I think that's really the choice that I made, is that, you know, and becoming a father is sort of what helped me help me to make that decision. Because, you know, if I'm going to teach my son, you know, to treat people the way they treat you, then that's what I'm basically asking him to do when he walks into any room that he walks into, is no matter who it is, if it's somebody that has $1 in their pocket, or if it's somebody that has $1 billion in their pocket, treat everyone the same, you know? Yeah. And if they don't treat you the same, then fine, walk away, you know? And they can never take that away from you when you walk into an audition room. It's who you are.
Yeah.
Walk in and walk out the same person.
That's great advice, man.
That's what I'd say is the choice. Because I don't have a pinpoint. Yeah, like it was this technique or it was that. You know,
right? Yeah, because there's so many variables, there's so many things, but like the one thing that is always, you got to always just be true to who you are, and when you walk into a room, you got to be you, and you can't be, you know, this whatever you think they want you to be. You know?
I remember. I forget what his name was, man, but I worked on a show called. I worked on a film called Burn. Something Burn. See, fuck, I don't even remember the shit that I worked on.
Burn Notice or Burn This or
something Burn. Anyways, you know, the guy that I worked with, he was on a show called Deadwood. I don't know if you remember that show.
Oh yeah,
it was on HBO.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I was working with this dude. Sorry if you listen to this damn podcast and I forgot your name. Yeah, I'm that asshole. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
You know, he says, you know, he asked me, you know, what other things I'm working on or what I'm auditioning on. And I told him, and I said, what's a story that you can tell me? And he said, you know, I remember auditioning for, I think it was either Rambo. Well, yeah, it was something with that production with Sylvester Stallone. He said, I remember walking into the room, and this guy was kind of jovial and, you know, and really like rambunctious and like really wants to, like, he was cracking jokes left and right, just making people laugh. And he said, I remember walking into that room and auditioning for the film, and I cracked 3 or 4 jokes and nobody laughed. And I walked out of the casting office, got home. My agent called me and said, "Hey, they're offering you the role." And he said, "I don't want to work on it." And his agent said, "What?" I said, "What the fuck do you mean you don't want to work on it?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, listen, man." He says, "I walked in. I tried to make all these people have a good time, and everyone acted like they had a stick up their ass." He says, I would have had to been around these people for 3 months in the jungle with these assholes. No, thank you. He said, "No, thank you."
That's ballsy, man.
That's ballsy.
Not many people would do that.
Yeah, because we're all desperate. You know what I mean? But that's the thing, is that at one point in your life, you have to bet on yourself.
That's right,
you know?
dude. You just nailed it.
You have to bet on yourself. You know?
Yeah.
Because if you don't bet on yourself, then nobody else is going to.
That's right.
If you don't invest money in who you are, in your soul, I'm saying money.
Sure.
If you don't
well, you do have to invest a shit ton of money into yourself as an actor.
Exactly.
I mean, acting is not a cheap profession. You're constantly spending money on yourself.
Constantly, yeah. So if you don't invest that in yourself, no one else is going to. You know, and that's that. So that's one thing that I learned along the way from him. You know, is that if I don't invest in myself, you know, nobody's going to invest in me. But I have to say, I've never turned down the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing either is that I've never turned down an audition either.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. A lot of, I have a couple of friends, or a couple of acquaintances that said, we would have the same agent, and he would call me and he said, "Hey man, you know, so-and-so, man, he really fucking loves you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, he just sent me an email saying Rigo doesn't turn down auditions. Rigo never turns down auditions." And he goes, "Just so you know, man, that agent really fucking loves you." I fired him. Oh shit. But that's who I am, man. You know, I go in the past, you know, I went in for janitors. I went in for fucking drug dealers. I went in for gangsters. I went in for teachers. I went in for anything, man. You name it. I went in for, you know, cross-dressers, gay people. It didn't matter to me. That's the one thing that I always said to myself, you know, is if I put myself in a box, then other people are going to put me in an even smaller box.
That's right.
Yeah. If I put myself creatively in one spot, then somebody else is going to put me in an even smaller spot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. True words. So what are you looking forward to doing now? Like what do you see happening?
Getting back to work, bro.
Oh, I know that. I mean, that's the thing. I think we're all kind of looking forward to that. But is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do? You know,
I think eventually I might take a crack at Broadway, you know?
Yeah.
I want to take a crack at live theater.
That's a hell of a commitment, though.
Yeah, you know,
I
auditioned for something here at the Taper. I'm sure you heard. You've probably seen the film. It was a film in the '80s. It was called Zoot Zoot. I auditioned for it, and you know, and I was up for it, but they ended up giving it to a name. But you know, I think that's something that I would probably eventually want to do. You know, once I'm really, I got all these series regular roles under my belt, and you know, is trying to take a crack at live theater again. You know, I started out doing theater as well. You know, I did some stuff around the city of LA. Did a couple plays here and there. And I remember, you know, that's a different beast too, man. Theater is a completely different beast. It's not a very well paying beast.
It's a hell of a lot of work, man.
It's a hell of a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, the commitment.
It's a grind. What it does, you know, going through that shit night after night after night, sometimes twice a day. Woo. Yeah, it's a beast. So I think that's something I'd probably want to take a crack at eventually. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's awesome.
And you know, recently I wrote a really shitty half-hour pilot.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what about like writing and producing for yourself?
Yeah. I've been writing a bit. Wrote a half hour. Like I said, I wrote a really shitty half hour dramedy. Um, I'm working on something right now that's based on a true story about the history here in California with Latinos. That it's been a work in progress for a couple years now. I've written about four scripts now that I've completely canned every single time that I've written it, because it reminds me too much of this film, or it reminds me too much of that film.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the worst thing is, we are our own worst critic.
Sure. Yep.
And that's the one thing that I need to start to get better at when it comes to my writing, is just, putting it out there and letting it go.
You got to put it out there, because it's doing nobody any good in your drawer.
Yeah, exactly.
And overcoming that fear of exposing what you're doing that's a tough one, but it's the only way to grow in that way. So man, I'm all for it. I'd love to see that, whatever you're working on.
Yeah. And the crazy thing too is that I had one of them that I've written, one of the characters that I've written, I wrote with you in mind.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and maybe next time we can, get together and we'll show each other, our projects, and I'll whip my cock out, you whip out your cock out. We'll see whose is bigger, whatnot. You know what I mean? Good times.
Yeah, good times, man. Well, listen, we're coming up on like an hour and a half here, and if anybody's still listening, it's probably
holy shit.
I know it went by quick. Let's see what happens when we don't see each other for this long. This is.
Dude, yeah.
But I'm glad we did this because I miss you. And
right on, brother. Miss you too, man.
I miss Kendra and Jack, and I hope everyone's doing well, and with this COVID thing going on, and now with these protests and everything, it's a volatile time in the world, and I think now more than ever, I think we need each other, and it's good to reconnect with people again, and once all this shit's done and over with, I'd love to sit down with you guys and have a drink and catch up and dream out loud again.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, man.
So why don't we leave it there, man? You got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, man, I think I regurgitated my soul all over this thing. So, it
was beautiful hearing what you had to say. Where can people find you if they want to hunt you down?
On Instagram is the only social media platform that I'm on. I deleted, deleted Instagram. Deleted Facebook, deleted Twitter. Too much hate on those platforms for me, man.
Yeah, man.
So on Instagram, you can find me under, just hit up Rigo Sanchez. You'll see my picture there. It's under, Rigo and Sanchez. Just look up Rigo Sanchez. I'm there, brother.
Cool. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes so people can find you there, and get on the tube and check him out in Animal Kingdom and Station 19 and Goliath and all the work that he's been doing recently. Yeah, and McFarland USA. Definitely watch that one.
Keep up the good work, John.
Thanks, brother. It was great talking to you. We'll sign off. Hope everyone enjoyed that. And we'll catch you all later. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go ahead and hit subscribe. Also, give me a follow on Instagram at JOHNJTAGUE, and on Twitter, same handle at JOHNJTAGUE. See you next time.